Hello, welcome back. So, in today's video, I want to share something with you that's a psychology hack, really, in terms of getting your patients to think about you all the time. But if you're wondering what the heck is the point in that, well, the point is that it gets you more referrals. So, if I quickly cite some research done, um, I think it was 4 dental practices in America in a small town, right? I can't remember the name of the town, but they handed out leaflets and flyers with information and with education. And 2 of them did this, and then 2 of them didn't. The 2 that did were obviously competing against each other. They were kind of the main competitors in the little town. But what happened is that the one that was more frequently read, not necessarily more frequently printed, etc. I won't go into detail on that, but the one that was more frequently read and the one that was more educational, as perceived by the patients and the potential patients, they ended up, well, you can guess. They ended up getting more patients. They ended up booming, right? They did really well in that town. They actually closed down 2 of the other practices that didn't do it in the first place. But the point is, the more there you are for your patients, the better the chances are that they'll get you referrals. The better chances are that they'll become your patients in the first place. If this is, we're just talking about leads, right? So it's extremely important that patient education isn't just in completely reforming a lot of the ways that people see dentistry and a lot of the ways that people see their oral health. Because obviously, if you look at the big picture, if every practice were to do that, then most people would be very well educated on what's going on with our oral health, right? But the main point is that we're going to be leveraging the availability bias, right, to get you more patients. And if you're watching this, well done, because it's a little hidden gem, and you better keep this close, right? Share it, obviously. I mean, that helps me, but keep the information close, but most importantly, utilize it. Okay. So before you get confused about the drawings that I've made, here you are. So that's your patient. Okay. They don't look like a potato with carrots sticking out, but that's your patient. And they're wanting to be educated, not just for the fact that people want to, in general, learn information that's useful. Okay. But they want to be educated so that they can make better informed decisions. Because the less thought processes they have to make during their day, the less wondering they have to do, the less information they kind of have to remember, the better. The more they can just rely on what you tell them or what you give them as readily available information. And that's the key. Readily available information is what gives your patients the tool to give you referrals and to keep coming back to you. So I'm going to go a bit more into detail on this really quickly to kind of explain what the availability bias is in simple terms. That way you kind of understand where it comes from. So let's say you were just watching the news, right? You've got a flight on Saturday. It's currently Monday. You've got a flight on Saturday where you're going abroad. Okay, let's say you're going to America. And you see on the news that 2 planes flying across the Atlantic Ocean to America unfortunately crashed or had a malfunction in landing and it resulted in deaths, right? Because that information is readily available to you and fits in the context and the fact that you're flying on Saturday, you ignore every other statistic, you ignore every other information you had previously about flights, and you use the information that's most available to you in the sense that it's the easiest for you to think of because it's happened most recently and you hear it more frequently. You are now afraid of flying on Saturday. So, do you see how the availability bias kind of depicts what we think about day to day and how we see things day to day, how we perceive things? One more example with the same premise is that the person who didn't see the news is going to be way less afraid of flying on Saturday, and the person who did is going to be a lot more afraid. The probability of them getting in a plane crash, is the exact same. They're flying on the same plane. But because the person that watched the news has that information more readily available to them, they will rely on it more than the person who saw the news 2 years ago about plane crash and he can't remember it. Okay? So information goes into the brain obviously, I'm not saying I'm teaching you anything new here, but information goes into the brain, and then the brain interprets or remembers only what's readily available. And again, as I mentioned earlier, what's readily available is what's played most frequently, or what's understood most frequently, or what's played most recently. So you want to try and tap into both of these things. And here's what the strategy looks like. If I go on here, excuse my drawings, by the way, the strategy is going to look like this. It's going to look a bit like a pyramid, right? Bam. So at the very bottom is the foundations you're going to lay. And those foundations are literally going to be videos. Of course, you can go for blogs if you haven't seen my video on blogs. It's a short. I don't think they're a very good idea. And the reason for that is because people would rather watch a 2-minute video than read a 5-minute blog. They would rather watch a 5-minute video than read a 60-second blog. So, yeah, I mean, you pick. You have to give people what they want, not what you want to do. So, excuse the horribleness, by the way. Video at the very bottom. So the whole point of this foundation is that for you to build kind of like an archive, kind of for you to build like a system that your patients can keep going back into to learn things. Things can be really simple. It could literally be how to brush your teeth. Because remember, if it's not readily available, as in they haven't heard it frequently, or they haven't heard it recently, most people will forget it. Okay? So you want to repeat things, and that's absolutely fine. You want to repeat how to brush your teeth. You want to repeat why you shouldn't use mouthwash or why you should use mouthwash. You want to repeat certain dangers about sugar, etc., etc. You repeating these things actually just instills those ideas more into your patient's brain. They don't annoy people to have information repeated because oftentimes they forget it. What's annoying is repeating information consecutively without giving any new information, because that way it feels a little weird, and well, won't go into detail on why it feels weird, but it feels quite patronizing to hear the same thing from the same person again and again, which is quite obvious, to be honest, but you get the gist. So, after the video, and these are the 2 more crucial steps, I'm going to go up to the top, and then I'll tell you what's in the middle, what connects them. At the top, you're seen as the expert. Oh my goodness, I apologize. You're seen as the expert. And the reason that was terrible. The reason that's a good thing is because you being seen as the expert means you're the go-to for information, but it means you're also the go-to for treatment. Now, I'll be honest with you. You might not be the best in your local area. You might be worried that, well, if I keep educating them, will they just not need to go to the dentist because they'll know exactly what to do at home? Well, yes and no. For people you don't want to come in, for people that don't need treatment, you are correct. The things that they can do, they'll probably do at home. But for the people that need it, the people that know what to do at home, they've done everything, but they need the treatment, they won't see the person on Google with 500 reviews, 500 5-star reviews even, let's say. They'll see you because you're on their social media feed. They followed you on Facebook and they see your posts every day, and you keep giving them information that's valuable to them. And then the most important thing is that your name has been in front of them the entire time. So when they look for information, in this case being what dentist should I go to, their brains can give them what's readily available, which is you, because you've most frequently given them the information, you've most frequently helped them, right? And what this also means, and the main benefit, in my opinion, right, is this time I'm going to get a text. Bam, referrals. The reason for that is pretty self-explanatory. If you make a happy patient, you get 5 happy patients. That's how referrals in general work. On average, if you make 1 person happy, you can make 5 other people happy. So being an expert genuinely just opens so many doors for you to help more people. And it opens so many doors for you to do more things and just grow your practice easily as well, without any form of constraint from the people that you're trying to market to or the new patients you're trying to find. So last but not least, the thing that connects these two is building a following. And I don't mean a following is in the sense that you are simply getting more Instagram followers. What I mean is you are building a tribe. So You want people to be invested in you as well as the videos. So for example, if I give the story really quickly of Dan Henry, you might have heard of him, but Dan Henry, he was making, well, he was having a mastermind, which I attended. Fantastic, by the way. He was having a mastermind and he was asking people, how interesting do you think you are on a scale of 1 to 10? The specific word he used was how fascinating. How fascinating do you think you are on a scale of 1 to 10? And most people answered from 3 to 7. But there was this one person that said 2. And this person called Nick was asked by Dan himself, Nick, why did you say 2? What do you think is so unfascinating about yourself? And Nick said, well, I've always grew up in the States. My business is quite boring. I just help gyms in making more money without having to sell more memberships. And honestly, I don't really see myself as that interesting. So then Dan asked him a few questions. He asked him questions about what he does in his free time. He asked him questions about where he's traveled to. He's asking him questions about why he started his business. And then what he found was that Nick traveled to Singapore for 6 months. Was it Singapore or Malaysia? Neither. It was Indonesia. He traveled to Indonesia for 6 months. And what he found is that people were a lot more community focused in Indonesia, and therefore their businesses, their local businesses, were doing a lot better by American standards. Obviously, I don't mean monetary wise, it's in the amount of customers they had and the amount of flow that they had, etc. So the conclusion that Dan came to, not only was it that Nick was fascinating, and by the way, after this, he ranked himself an 8 out of 10, but it was that you have to build a tribe. You have to build followers, not numbers of followers. You have to build followers that only listen to you and only take information from you because they trust you. So what you want to do is have people that trust you. And that's when you become the expert. That's the step between posting a video and becoming the expert. It's building the tribe. Because once you build the tribe, right, once you are on people's minds, they can only think of you when they hear the word dentist. And how amazing would that be? You see, it's not that far-fetched to become the leading and dominant dentist in your market. All you have to do is be available for people. And again, I've made another video on this on how to literally strategically be available for people online, be available for people on social media, and be available for people through the phone. It's really simple. You just have to break it down and then build a huge strategy around it. And by huge, I just mean all-encompassing. I don't mean huge as in complicated. You got the video, I can tell. Nice. Okay, well, that's it. That's literally it. That's all I want you to focus on. Educating patients, giving them information, and giving it regularly, and giving them a reason to go see you. Even if you're not directly saying book an appointment, these people now see you as the expert. And guess what? An expert that has a tribe behind them will be able to sell to 100 people, right, 100 followers, better than the other person that's selling to 100 people that don't know about him. So that's the main takeaway from the video. Anyways, if you liked it, leave a little thumbs up just down below. It means that you liked it. If you didn't, pop a little thumbs down. They both help me, to be honest. I just get to know what works and what doesn't. Leave a comment if there's anything you want me to make a video specifically about, and then feel free to subscribe as well if you want to see more videos of kind of me going through how to make more money with your practice, but on the marketing side, and how to make sure you do it effectively. Speaking of which, I've got a business that does that, so I've got to quickly make the plug, otherwise I get shot by my colleagues. There's a link in the description down below. Feel free to go look at it. It's only honestly for independent dental practice that can handle 100 or so booked appointments with patients in 60 days or so. If that's you, feel free to click it. It'll be a video of me trying to sell you something. It's really cool, to be honest, although obviously I would say that I made the video. But yeah, check out if you want. If not, no worries. I'm not fussed. I enjoy making these videos anyways. But thank you so much for watching. God bless you. Have a lovely day, week, weekend, whatever you're doing, wherever you are. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the day.